And how you guys doing? Welcome to Bring It to the Table, man. We got an awesome Zoom interview today with Shaggy 1% from the Invaders MC and Clutch from the Grim Guardians Motorcycle Club. They are with the NCOC, and we're going to be talking about the American Legion. This is kind of a follow-up on my previous segment on how they are not allowing motorcycle club colors into about 6, I think it was, posts. It's a very detailed, in-depth interview, and this is the stuff that I really like doing. I know I do the biker news and stuff with what's going on in the club scene from the mainstream media point, but this right here is what I would like the show to concentrate on from now on. I actually gave a statement out on HarleyLiberty.com what our goals will be this coming year. As far as the coverage that we would do in a monologue and stuff, I've asked people to start sending me questions that don't have to do with MC protocol or any of that crap. I want to really concentrate and get back to basics with club rights, with biker rights, with the profiling issues, what's going on in each state, so that way you guys are informed, because after all, it is a news program. So the interview coming up again is a good one, man. It's on Zoom. I really like that Zoom stuff. So anyway, let's get to the interview, man. I think you guys are going to really like it. Over to ProudHooligan.com for all your Insane Throttle official merchandise, including our new Proud Hooligan line. ProudHooligan.com has a wide assortment of gear to make you look good on your next ride. ProudHooligan.com is the go-to for every biker when they want to look good, as well as to help the show out while doing it. Visit ProudHooligan.com now. Rock on. You guys introduce yourselves the way you want, then we're going to talk about some American Legion.
Sounds good. Go ahead, Shaggy.
I'm just Invader Shaggy here out of Missouri, a member of the NCOC PR committee and Veterans Committee, chairman of the COC in Missouri, representative for the MRF to the clubs. A very passionate biker and a veteran that absolutely loves this lifestyle. And this topic we're going to talk about really gets under my skin a little bit. Go ahead, Clutch.
Yeah, I'm Grim Guardian Clutch out of Austin, Texas area, member of the Texas Council of Clubs and Independents, also a part of the NCOC PR committee and Veterans Discrimination Committee, and legislative liaison here in the state of Texas.
Rock on. Now, for those that don't know, what is NCOC? Because a lot of people know what NCOM is, but they don't know what NCOC is.
Sure. That's a National Council of Clubs, born in 2015 in a response to Waco and the things that happened down here. Never designed to replace any other motorcycle rights organizations, just meant to complement the collection of organizations out there, club specific. So that may be one thing that we have a different spin on things, but it's by clubs for clubs.
So it's basically like a PR arm.
So the PR committee is a fast acting group meant to kind of squash some of the negative narratives that come out of some of these events that pop up from time to time.
Well, that's good that you guys got a PR wing, because the mainstream media is terrible.
Indeed.
We talk about that every day almost on our show. But one thing that concerns a lot of us is this American Legion thing. I had a lot of vets call in after that episode, and there's a lot of tempers about that. So if you guys go ahead and talk about the American Legion, like how many are not allowing club colors in,
If you have any insight into the last story we did about the American Legion and them not, well, kicking out a national, I think, for the Proud Boys. But go ahead, it's all yours, guys.
Appreciate it. Yeah, so this is something that's been brewing for roughly 2 years. It was brought to our attention in multiple locations in Rapid City, South Dakota, here in Waco, Texas, a few other places, New Mexico, where this pervasive idea that all clubs are motorcycle or street gangs was infiltrating these executive boards. And so they were making blanket discriminatory bans on all motorcycle clubs. So we have continued to reach out for statements from either national or from state leadership from these organizations, and we continue to get stonewalled. So at that point, we were not looking to blow anything up, so to speak. We were looking for a conversation. And at that point, that conversation never happened. So we decided to run with the story. So that's what born that story, if that makes sense. So
Now, did any mainstream media pick up your story?
No, they did not yet. So we've reached out, and it's quiet.
Right. I just can't understand how they can do this to other veterans. And I think if Shaggy can speak how you feel about this as a veteran.
Well, I'll say this. As far as the NCOC PR committee and NCOC as a whole, but the narrative that I think we're all really trying to get out there is the American Legion as a whole is a great organization. Clutch and I have talked on several occasions about, he would love to print all kinds of good stories that the American Legions do to help clubs and stuff like that. Here in my own area, they're really good about that. And in other areas, we've heard they've hosted COC meetings, they've hosted benefits, poker runs. I mean, some of them have real good food. It's real cost efficient, it's not going to break the bank. They're real welcoming, right? So when I first heard this, I had just started becoming a part of the NCOC PR committee, and I was just absolutely baffled because it doesn't fit under what the American Legion's about. Like if you talk about the VFW is very specific in their membership, meaning you have to have certain medals and awards to be a part of the VFW. Like I was a member of the VFW because of an award I got from a deployment I did, right? And everybody in there's certain criteria and awards you're given from duties you serve. As the narrative goes on, and Clutch can explain more, we started finding out that former LE is the post commanders, and they're kind of spewing their ideology on motorcycle clubs and how they feel, and they spread that cancer through their American Legion Hall, so they get backed by their people. I mean, it's like if you tell a biker, hey man, there's a guy that's a square, bikers gonna be like, well, stay away from him. We don't want him around, and we don't want nothing to do with the squares. All we want to do is be with ourselves, be with our brothers, ride with like-minded people. When we hear that there are like posts throughout the country that are doing this, and then we find out what's behind it all, and then we find out that as many attempts to diplomatically get in touch with their national people, they're not returning our calls. They're not wanting to listen to us, and then we get a copy of their bylaws and all that stuff like that, and they're saying that the post commander has that authority to refuse service, right? And as Clutch was explaining to me earlier, they're trying to use it as like a dress code now, instead of saying, hey, it's not that your colors can't come in here. You have to be dressed a certain way now. I've been to a bunch of American Legions, wearing colors. I've been to a bunch of American Legions where you don't know if there's gangbangers in there. I mean, you know if there's bikers in there because of how we dress, but there's never no problem. But the minute, say some gangs went in there and shot the place up, well, those same gangs can go in there because they don't dress like we do, right? And that's not putting them down. I mean, people can dress however they want to, but I fought for the right for us to be able to dress how we want to. I earned everything that I've had my entire life. The same way all of us believe here in the MC community. And what was it, Clutch? 43%, the last survey of the MPP was like veterans.
Right at 40. Yeah, right at 40.
That was what, 11,000 or 12,000 people took that.
That's right,
So
11,000. Yep.
If we'll just say this, and this is just me throwing a number out there, if everybody in a motorcycle club, whether they're RCs, MCs, 1%, whatever, took these, what the MPP is putting out for the motorcycle profiling project, that survey, and everybody took it, I guarantee that veteran number is going to jump a lot higher. Veterans are typically very acclimatized to the MC life because, brotherhood is something that is so deep with veterans. It's very soul deep with me. I'm still very close with those that I served in the Navy with, and the Seabees. We're a small community in the military. So motorcycle clubs, a lot of the old clubs back in the day were started by guys coming back from World War II and coming back from Vietnam, and other clubs were started in between Desert Storm and Beirut and stuff like that. So, and there's a lot of clubs that have started out of the current wars that were going on. So motorcycle clubs have a very deep rooted veteran history, right? And the American Legion, for the most part, in all the 21 years I've been doing this lifestyle, has really curtailed to our lifestyle and our society, right? And then here recently it's, well, no, we don't want any colors in here. But there's that nagging thing, and this is the biker in me, the 1%er in me, the veteran in me going, the American Legion riders are riding around with cuts on and their colors on their back with their post representing who they are. They're not an RC, they're not an MC, they're not an association, but they say they're an association for an organization. Well, in our lifestyle, that's not exactly how it works. However, we're not going around telling them, hey, they got to take their shit off. We're not going around telling them, hey, we're being bullies. We would actually have thought they would have stood up and said, hey, man, there's never been no problem, so why do we have it now?
Yeah, and let me chime in on it.
I got a question for Clutch.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Now, you say at the national level that they claim that the local post has the ability to the way they want to run it and stuff. At these 6 locations, did they change the bylaws? And because you were talking about a dress code?
Yeah, so we've looked, and so typically these posts will also have their minutes published from their meetings, and we've not found one vote for that.
Wow.
So to answer your question, and I think it's funny just because, I did a little bit more research. That story that we wrote, there are things that continue to grow. And so Ms. Rohan, who was the national commander, is no longer the commander. And we appreciated her statement that she was discussing with the minority groups in the state of Washington. And we have a new national commander named James Oxford. And I think it's funny that when I look at his profile, they ask everybody, what is your theme for your tenure? And his was a foundation for the future. Can you tell me one thing that you do not want to do when you're building a foundation for a future? And that's to discriminate against the people that are coming home, looking for that brotherhood, looking to build an organization. And so, I think it's funny. I hope it's not they're just putting their head in the sand and they just don't want to deal with it and will just go away. They're sorely underestimating this community if that's the case. So, you know, we do have to understand that they may have the right to do this, but there are many things that you can do that you should not do, right? So I could run down the street in a Speedo, but I shouldn't. Okay, it's 30 degrees outside. There are many. We have the freedoms to do things.
That's what's stopping you. It's 30 degrees outside.
I'm originally from Florida. Yes, that's what's stopping me. But so you know, we understand that we're not you know, bad mouthing all American Legions. What we want to make sure is that this pervasive nature of discrimination is stopped early. Because hey, look, I work in cancer research. When's the best time to remove a cancer? Is early, right? So if it was one post or two posts or three posts, I don't care, you know, because we need to stop that idea. We've opened up the line of communication to dispel any outdated stereotypes, to have these conversations, to say, hey, look, if you're having an issue, just give us a call. Maybe we can help. It's just head in the sand at most of these places now. And we appreciate the American Legions that continue to support us. And as Shaggy said, I do want to write a follow-up story about every single one of those posts that we have successful relationships. And instead of having a negative narrative, change that to a positive narrative so we can then continue that relationship. Because in many of these places where we have MCs, the American Legion might be the best spot to host an event, you know? So we want to continue that relationship. We want to have an open dialogue. We just need, it just goes both ways. We can't just raise our fist in the air and hope that they call back one day. So we're just pressing the issue a little bit.
Now, one concerning thing about your article was the South Dakota one.
Yeah.
And their attitude towards their veterans that ride. Has there been any more communication with them, or is it we don't want to talk to you? You know, it's my post. This is what we're doing.
Yeah, radio silent. Yeah, nothing's come out of there. I was actually just in Rapid City visiting family. Well, I have family that lives up there on my in-laws, and unfortunately, the times I was in there and drove to North Dakota, I was not able to go into the post. And I was just going to introduce myself and say, hey, I'll even come in with no cut. You know, let's just sit down and talk. And unfortunately, the post was closed for when my flight was able to get in. But it's been quiet. Like I said, I think they feel like they'll outlast us. And at that point, I just take that as a challenge.
Has any of the other commanders that you guys have good relationships with contacted these other ones and said, hey, man, we got a great relationship with them. They support us. They bring money in. Has any of them done that?
Yeah, so we've talked to a few. We actually have some that are patch holders, post commanders that are patch holders. And so we've talked to them, and, you know, that's a slow communication up. So if your local post commander can communicate, but then it goes through, you know, regional, state, if I remember correctly, and then up to the national. I think what they're missing right now is with the American Legion, they were supposed to have their summer conference. And with COVID happening, you know, a lot of those meetings have been squashed. So we had allies that were going to be attending those meetings and, you know, fight for this right. And unfortunately, we're kind of behind the 8 ball with this pandemic stuff.
What's your thoughts on
to add to what he's saying too, this letter's been out for almost a month now, and on the bottom of that letter is Clutch's email address, and he's received nothing. And we know for a fact that their national people have gotten a copy of that because he sent it to them off of the email address he had. So it's not like they don't know that this is going on. Like, this was all done and sent to them, correct me if I'm wrong, Clutch, prior to us even putting that on the NCOC site, prior to us, talking with you, you can't get no more diplomatic than what everybody's trying to do. Today's climate is so race baited and it's so tense all the time. When you hear about, discrimination in any form, and God forbid some of the discriminations that some of us really grew up with, this is one of those things where veterans, no matter what they're wearing, should never have to be, aggravated with or bothered with. I mean, I've never heard or seen that before, to this level. Like, they don't want to communicate with us. They like he said, we got guys on our own NCOC PR committee that were these post commanders, and they're trying to reach out and use their connections, and they're basically getting stonewalled. And they're part of the goddamn organization. That to me is confusing. That's like me trying to communicate with my president, and then try to communicate with higher ups, and I just decide, my higher ups don't want to talk to me. Well, how can they expect me to follow their rules? And the Clutch put it perfectly in the beginning of that letter he wrote, their preamble about fighting for the Constitution and upholding the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and if you're going to uphold the rights of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and all that stuff like that, basically saying the oaths we take when we join the service and raise our right hand as part of their preamble. Well, that means discrimination in any form, right? Any form, it doesn't matter what it is, it's unacceptable and should not be accepted in any manner, whether it's a veterans organization or not.
Mm-hmm. Well, another question, I actually did a segment on this. Fraternal organizations are having real troubles right now keeping membership. And that's where I got confused with the American Legion doing this, because I know I heard from people that the New Mexico one is like a ghost town right now. Why would they push away potential members or potential income over the thoughts of just one or two board members?
Well, yeah, and then we brought that up in the story for sure. I looked again. 2017, they were boasting 2 million members. That's a lot of people. And do those 2 million people not support their own American Legion? So let's say they pay a membership fee, but are they not going in there to buy a beer or have a burger? So I'm curious, when you have this built-in number of customers, if you want to call it that, why are so many posts faltering? Well, we're giving them a lifeline. Like one post commander said, is we double our month when we have MC events. He said that guy that drinks beer from 4 to 8 p.m. on a Monday afternoon is going to get out drunk or drank by one biker coming in and dropping, $100 or $50 on beer, cheap beer, and then also a fat tip. We're a generous group. We support each other and we support those that support us. Find me anybody that says otherwise. So, in that article, we mentioned that Mr. Talsma said that the group here doesn't like it, but they understand it, right? So to me, that took him selling it, right? So he was selling a narrative that overcame their ability to want to make a little tip money or sell an extra burger or something for the safety of their, and to me, that is a coercive use, which it shouldn't be that way. So those employees didn't get a chance to speak their mind, only the executive committee. I get it. That's the way it works. We're not trying to change their bylaws. But what we do want is A, an open dialogue, and then B, let's open the doors again. Let's start with only MC clubs or veterans clubs. So you got your Marine vets, you know, Marine MCs, you've got your combat vets, you've got all of these clubs that'd be happy to come in and start a conversation and see if we can, you know, renew this relationship that is so successful across the whole country, and get rid of this old antiquated stereotype that seems to be pushed.
Well, it's kind of funny. I got an American Legion. All I have to do is walk out the front door. And I was able to talk to one of them, and they say one of the big problems is the older generation. They just don't know how to change. Is that what your guys are thinking? Or is it just the Leo got in that position that, you know, at 20, 30 years in that say, hey, this is bad stuff, and they don't know that the modern times ain't like that?
Absolutely. You know, I think it's a combination of both. You know, I think you might find in some areas where you do have state actor discrimination, or where someone's using their official capacity in a law enforcement office to persuade a private industry to change their rules based on what they want. Or you may have these stereotypes from the 60s, 70s, 80s that are, you know, making decisions. The one thing is, discrimination of any type is born out of ignorance, okay? And that doesn't mean you're dumb, or that doesn't mean you're stupid. That just means you don't know. And so why don't you just ask? You know what I'm saying? So that's all we're asking is you know, we're not doing this. We're not pleading. We're not on begging. We're not, you know, at the end of the day, it's your business. We're just trying to open up a line of communication with a firm handshake and look each other in the eye and say, hey, you know, let's get this resolved. And, you know, many are open to that. The few that aren't, we don't want that to spread.
Right. Now, have they even tried to invite a member of the NCOC or a rep to one of their meetings?
No, it's radio silent. So, you know, from their side, we did receive one phone call from one of our PR committee brothers who reached out to a state commander, I believe, and his words were, and Shaggy brought it up earlier, was that we allow every post to enforce their rules for dress code as they see fit. And it wasn't even a dress code issue. I mean, this is more to it than just, you know, whether you like a guy's pants hanging below his ass, or you know, the color of his shirt, or wearing patches. So to me, those are different things.
Right. Now, what, Shaggy, you were in CVs for how long?
13 years.
13 years. And how do you reconcile what they're doing to vets compared to the mission that they're supposed to be providing for vets?
Well, that's actually a pretty easy answer, because one thing we used to say in the CBs, one of our models was, with compassion, we build and fight. So for veterans in the MC community, even, I can't speak for every one of them, but all the men that I know and all the men that I'm around, we got real short memories when an apology is given. It's like, you know, all of us in motorcycle clubs, we are very forgiving of our brothers. They can screw up in the worst of manners, come in and say, oh, guys, I screwed up, I'm sorry. And every brother around that table typically belts, all right, jackass, don't do it again, or whatever, we love you, and smack on the hand, that's it. It's the same thing here. You know, it's not so much, I don't even care that the LE guys are retired LE are running these things. I don't care about that. Their narrative don't belong. The fact that I have a honorable discharge DE-214 states the time that I did serving this country willingly on my own free will. I wasn't drafted or nothing. I wanted to do this, and I did it. And all the men that I know, with the exception of a handful of Vietnam vets that are left, that got drafted, but even those guys would say they'd do it all over again. We would go in there with a simple, hey man, make it even across the boards. You know, they don't have that national bylaw that says, hey, here's how you do things to run your post, to make it fair and even, right? Me personally, it's just like with club life, man. You have your bylaws, and in them bylaws it says this is how we do things, right? So with the American Legion having thousands of posts, millions of members, right? It shouldn't be left to one person to make that decision, because every post will then operate differently, and they shouldn't, because the ultimate reason that post is there, the ultimate reason the American Legion is there is for the veteran. It was designed, it was started by the Congress, I think, what, 1929 or something like that, for the veterans, okay, for a place for these veterans to go to. What you were asking earlier about, you know, is it a deal with the old timers and the young group or whatever? Well, look at the MC community, man. We're mostly graybeards now. We're not getting a whole lot of youngsters in right at the moment. You know, there's still that millennial thing going on, right? The VFWs and American Legions that I've gone to here in my area, shit, there's graybeards in there. There's old men in there, white hair, blue hair, don't matter. Don't yell bingo in the middle of bingo night. One of them old ladies will shank you. But the places are crowded, okay? The old men, when we go in there, have some of the most funniest stories, and they're hilarious, even when they're all tanked up. And most of the time when they're dealing with motorcycle clubs, the things that they say, being uneducated, right, not knowing, I'll tell a biker, hey man, your vest is cool. They're like, yeah, you know, some of us kind of, I don't get an attitude about it because I'm used to it, but you know, a lot of the new guys are like, hey, you know, it's not just the vest, I had to earn it, that's that. Them old guys don't know that shit. They're just happy somebody's in there to talk to, because they're still living in those places like the American Legion, the VFW, the AMVETS Post, all these organizations that are out there for veterans. They don't realize when they see the old guys in there, they got nothing else, man. They want to be in there. They're reliving their stories of their days of war and youth, and a lot of it is real painful for them. I know personally of some of those stories of my own and my family. Half my family has served. That company to them is more important than what I'm wearing right now. This white cut and this diamond here. They don't care about that. They care about the fact that I served and I'm one of their, as they call me, their brothers at arms. That's all they care about. The old guys would be disgusted by this, to be honest with you. And I'm pretty sure they're not aware of this either.
Well, one thing that and you brought it up earlier was the Legion riders. I thought they'd be screaming at the top of their lungs to back up the MCs. And then, from the letter, it didn't seem like to address that, but I can't put that up in arms.
Well, there's a reason why. They're just wearing those vests and clutch. Cut in here anytime you want to, because I might go high and right here, man, when it comes to this shit. The Legion riders are, they're not an association. They're not a motorcycle club. They're not a riding group. They are strictly representatives of that post wearing that patch on their back, and they just ride motorcycles. They don't understand MC protocol. They don't understand MC lifestyle. They don't live it every day. They don't even live it. You know, they're motorcycle enthusiasts, and God love them. They don't understand that what they're wearing is fucking colors. Sorry about my language, but it's colors, period. They don't, the civilians, when they're out in town and they screw up, they don't determine between what is said on their back and what's said on mine, right? When I was in my former club, I can't tell you how many times I was called a Hell's Angel, because people associate what they see from a long time ago. And there's been times where I've been in gas stations and I've said, I hear the attendant at the register going, oh my God, there's a Hell's Angel in here. And I'm turning around thinking I didn't follow protocol or something, right? And nobody's in the store with me, and I have to ask them what fucking school you went to. Where'd you learn how to read? Type of thing. But that's how people interpret that in the public. Like if they get out there and they get in a fight in a bar, say they're not at their American Legion, they're out on one of their runs, and they get out in a fight in a bar, the public is not going to say, hey, the American Legion riders post blah, blah, blah got in that fight. They're going to say a bunch of bikers in here wearing colors got in that fight. And then me as the chairman of the COC, I'm going to get a phone call from a legit club that tried to go in that same bar hours later, and there's a big sign that says no colors. And then I have to call them up and talk to them and find out what happened so that I can try to, police our side, right? And then I find out later it was American Legion Riders, or it was Ambed's Post, or it was the VFW Riders, or it was, this veterans organization that's not MC or understands exactly what they're wearing and what it represents and what damage it can do and what good it can do. I mean, there's two sides of that coin. They don't know. That's the answer to it. They don't know. They don't know that it's wrong.
And I'll jump in here for a story that happened here in Texas. Was that we were having something like this go on in the VFW system. So we released an open letter regarding general orders that were coming out in October 2019 that was going to go along the same no colors in any VFW posts. And so we released an open letter, and it was actually the VFW riders that called attention to it and organized the sit down with state leadership. And from that sit down, we opened lines of communication. If there's ever an issue, those people know who to contact, and we can, come to a stop there. So anyway, at some point they do. VFW riders, they did step up. We're just waiting for the American Legion riders to step up.
Oh, I think that story, what concerns me, association patch or not, they're bikers, and you would think that they would stand up for other bikers, club or not.
Yeah, I mean, and you're absolutely, they're always welcome at our events. So, I think you said that on your show, that across the country, American Legion riders are often welcome at normal club events. And that's the same way here. And we do have some that show up, and we're going to have to start working on those conversations. But here we sit.
Well, they also have to understand, I'm a big supporter of NCOM. They have to understand that NCOM is fighting for their rights as well. All bikers should, independents, AVAID, all that should know that. It's just, at these posts, I just couldn't believe they didn't stand up and holler at the top of their lungs about this going on.
No, it's true. And you bring up, a good segue into national organizations, because I think that we're all, in a way, coming together. You mentioned NCOM, we have NCOC, we have ABATE, we have MRF, we have AMA, a number of others that are now starting to speak in a similar language and have the same story, because basically the discrimination of any of kind is wrong. And whether it's motorcycle profiling and passing anti-profiling legislation, or whether it's gang database stuff, or whether it's discrimination at a post or a restaurant, we're all now steering the ship in the same direction. And I think that's where it's important that if those people that are listening to this podcast or watching it get involved, and here we actually say loud bikers save rights. There's the old patch, loud pipes save lives. Well, loud bikers save rights. You can't just sit on your hands and not get involved. So we're encouraging those people that find a post that is pushing this discrimination is get involved if you can, get on the board, cast a vote. We have patch holders that are post commanders. Why can't we do that everywhere? And so, change doesn't happen by sitting down. Change happens by getting involved, whether it's no matter which organization. If we're all speaking the same language and we're all rowing in the same direction, we're going to get there together, regardless of which organization you're a part of. And it's really good to see. It's probably one of the first time in history that, 5 or 6 major motorcycle rights organizations are all saying the same thing.
Right. Well, before you came on, Shaggy just let me know that resolution didn't pass. If you can talk about that, Shaggy.
Okay, so I don't know if you got that email from the MRF, that resolution for the motorcycle profiling. from last year that carried over to the beginning of this year, it failed. So there was 139 co-sponsors for it. It still failed. So the people up there on Capitol Hill are going to reach out to the MRF and see if they can't resubmit that for early 2021. But the thing is, it went through the history of what they had sent out to the MRF. You know, the first time it only had 18 sponsors, and the next time it had 36 or whatever it was. The next time it grew a little more, and then this last one was 136 or 139, something of that nature. And it sucks to hear that happen, but it's not surprising because the same thing happened here in the state of Missouri with the resolution that we were trying to put through. Something significant happened to stop what's going on, which is all this stuff with the political climate in this country right now, and the complete, I don't even know how to describe it, up there in DC, and their minds are on something else right now. I have no doubt the MRF and the lobbyists up there that we have, and that the Capitol days up there, they're still going to do. I have no doubt that they're still going to push that. Double D is big about that, and man, I support that dude. He motivated me 5 years ago to be in line with that motorcycle profiling thing. So it's a really, really small setback actually, because these co-sponsors are still reaching out saying, hey, we're not done yet, but it just didn't make the floor.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest determination. It didn't fail because it was voted down, in my understanding. So it was just failed because it didn't get to the floor for a vote. So as a kick in the nuts as that is, it's still encouraging that there's a future for it. And as we watch what happens in DC right now, we understand. Let the winds of change happen, and then we'll just continue on the path and go from there.
What can
One thing I want to throw out there real quick.
Go ahead.
One thing I'll throw out there real quick, along the lines of what we were talking about with getting involved. I mean, I say it all the time. I meet with other clubs in my state and tell them, look, we really need you to be a part of this. Most people don't understand that most COCs are not incorporated or 501c3, and they're not recognized as a MRO. Okay, MROs, ABATEs, 4s, AMA, the MRFs, all that, they are 501c3 or 501c19. They are a voting block. That had to get explained to me, man. Once that was explained to me about that voting block thing, it made sense to why they are listened to like they are, because for every one member of the MRF or every one member of ABATE or 4 or AMA or whatever motorcycle rights organization that's out there. Now, there's some COCs that are incorporated and are considered an MRO, but there's a lot of the COCs, to include Missouri, we're not. So us not being considered a voting block or an MRO, and us using ABATE and 4 to help do the lobbying and stuff for us, for every one person that's a member of ABATE 4 or whatever, MRO, that is 6 votes to each politician. That's how they look at it. So right now, COCs are considered a quiet minority, right? The politicians don't want to listen to us. The more you have involved, the more you're able to do the things to get yourself to that level of being considered an MRO, the more likely you're heard. And that's the whole point of the COC. That's the whole point of NCOM. That's the whole point of these rights organizations, is to be heard, right? To have your voice heard, to have your vote heard, have your opinion heard, and have bills that make sense to pass in the House and the Senate and become laws to save bikers' lives, to save bikers' rights. A lot of what Clutch has talked about in some of our meetings with the NCOC PR is the Civil Rights Act. I mean, Clutch is like, man, this is all part of the Civil Rights Act, which is funny because I've said that on the Missouri side of the COC. We're fighting for our civil rights for laws that are already there, but now we have to have specific language in these bills to where it identifies motorcycle club gear, motorcycle riding gear, the type of motorcycles, you can't be profiled for this and this. I mean, if you go on YouTube and watch Double D testifying in Washington State, I mean, he goes through all of that, and some of those people are just absolutely baffled. I was absolutely baffled about some of the stuff he was saying because he was spot on. And the fact that you have to go in there and say, hey, because I'm now wearing this insignia on my back and I'm now wearing this diamond, I'm not in a gang. I'm in a deep brotherhood, but they look at us as gangbangers. I mean, one thing I throw in there is we could be doing to the American Legion or some of these other places that say no colors, like they did 20 years ago. I remember being a young patch member in another club. We cleared the damn bar out, sat in there and drank all night long, and dared the cops to show up. That was fun back then. That's when we were, really considered the outsiders of society and the bastards of society. We were happy with that, right? Now, bikers have gotten a little more intelligent, and instead of going in there and clearing that bar out and like a bunch of heathens we used to be, it's about doing things the right way now. It's about the lines of communication, using the diplomacy the best way, doing what good Americans should do, right? That in no way is a threat, but that's the way it used to be. I mean, hell, I'm sure you can remember up in Chicago, the boys you used to run with, doing stuff like that. The people I had witnessed growing up in Arizona, that club back there, man, they were known for emptying bars. The clubs I was around down in southern Mississippi 21 years ago, they were known for clearing bars. I mean, it was a common occurrence. There used to be the biker bar in just about every town that was just for bikers. There was no other bar bikers went to because they weren't welcome in there, right? So there also used to be a place for gays to go. There also used to be a place for lesbians to go. There used to be a place for blacks to go, whites to go, Mexicans to go. This country's gotten rid of all that shit, right? And rightfully so. So why are we just now down to guys who are wearing something they're proud that they earned being discriminated against because of what we wear?
Well, yeah, I think. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to ask Clutch, what could, not only our show do, but the regular independent biker do, or how would you get them off their hump to actually get involved in this stuff? How could you get them excited about, because I always say, if you don't want to do nothing, at least pay them your dues. At least you're helping out some way. But how do we get them to realize how important something like this American Legion move, not letting other veterans in with their own colors?
Yeah, it's just like I forget the exact saying, but when they, came for the Jews, I didn't care because I wasn't Jewish. When they came for this, I didn't care because I wasn't that. Whatever that saying was, and it's along the same lines. If it doesn't affect you directly, it's hard to get motivated about things. Okay, and I get that, but in a country where we're trying to now impress upon everybody unity, why don't we try that? The motorcycle community is one of the most united communities there are. There's every race, there's every gender, there's every political persuasion, all of that. And we're a homogenous example of what the United States should be, right? We follow a certain level of a certain set of rules. We have a decorum, all of that good stuff. And yet it's not being followed. So everybody that is not in the MC culture knows someone, likely, that anybody that's listening to your show likely somebody that's in an MC, RC, motorcycle ministries, any of that stuff. So if you can't stand up for your friend or your family member, I'm saddened, right? So I will have a neighbor who I talk to once a month come over here, and if he's got a problem, it's my problem. And I think we need to take on that responsibility as a community. And if you have someone that is in the community, if it's my problem, then it's also my mom's problem, my dad's problem, my brother's problem. That's how my family works. So I would encourage anybody who's sitting on the couch or at their desk or on their phone listening to this podcast that is not MC, that knows someone in MC, bear the burden.
Very well said, man. Very well
Well,
said.
there's another way too. Remember the whole
Down the road. This
concept
type
of
behavior continues. We don't want to embolden the idea that this type of discrimination will be tolerated for a long period of time. I hope that makes sense. So,
No,
what's
well,
that, Shaggy?
I'm not as elegant as Clutch has put it, but the term that I grew up with is it takes a village. The MC community has always worked on that mentality. In the club life, we're a village. We take care of our own. We police our own. We motivate each other to carry on every single day. We're there for each other when they're down. We're there for them when they're happy. We put a boot in their hind end when they need to be awakened. I tell guys in my state all the time, get involved, get involved, get involved. That's all you can do is get involved. And if you don't get involved, I'm still going to fight for your rights, because regardless if you get involved, I am not going to let, my fellow patch wearing brethren or, it doesn't matter to me. You shouldn't be discriminated for what you're wearing, period. You shouldn't be discriminated for your skin color, your race, religion. It doesn't matter to me, right? So if you don't get involved, you're still going to hear that I'm out here fighting because it's the right thing to do. And it's not an easy thing to do. It's not a convenient thing to do. It's very inconvenient a lot. And that's the thing. People don't want to deal with the inconvenience. They don't want to. I'll say what he can't do, what Clutch can't say. People need to drop their fucking egos. And I'll say it just like that. We are the last free society. We are the last cowboys and Indians, so to say, right? We're going to end up in the history books as a small little blip that said this type of lifestyle will happen from this time to this time, and it ended. Why should it have to be that way? There are organizations out there that absolutely refuse to put down their differences or whatever to come together for this cause. This cause affects them as well. It's all of us. Sometimes you just gotta, for the better of the good, and as we usually say in the club life, for the better of the club, we let all that shit go, because guess what? It's what's best for the club. It's what's best for our brothers. It's what's best for each other and the organization as a whole, right? So for me, I'll gladly say and have no problem saying, I have brothers that just don't agree or understand what I'm doing. They like the old ways, and that's cool, man. I love the old ways myself, but that's not going to change my passion for this lifestyle. It's not going to change my passion for this fight, for all of us to be able to ride our motorcycles, fly our colors, party with our brothers, and enjoy our brotherhood, and enjoy our brothers' families. It's not going to change my belief in us as a village getting together and making our lifestyle better, freer, because we are the last free society. It doesn't bother me one bit that an organization says, you're wasting your time here, you're doing this, you're doing that. What has the COC done? What has NCOM done? What has the NCOC done? What has the MRF done? There's lots that they've done. It's slow, man. This process is slow. I've learned that 5 years as a chairman. There's times where I've looked at the guy from before going, dude, what the hell are you guys doing? Well, 39 years it took to get the helmet bill repealed here in Missouri. We were landlocked. and losing big time because everybody was riding around Missouri. They didn't want to carry a helmet. It's the same thing with anything. It takes all of our voices being heard. It takes time, but you have to get involved. You have to, if you're the biggest organization or the smallest organization, not one organization can do this by themselves. It's impossible. It really is impossible.
Yep. And if I can say one thing, I said homogeneous, I meant heterogeneous before. I will not go to sleep tonight if I did not clarify that. So anyway, carry on. Shaggy knows me.
OCD. Oh,
yeah. And then my wife will make fun of me.
Monday going, I can't believe he did this.
Well,
Anyway.
one last question I got, and it might sound kind of off the wall, but I know in the old days the dealerships used to get behind this kind of stuff. Are they still doing it? Are they still getting involved with rights? Or are they just worried about their emission legislation?
No, are you just mean individually local dealerships?
Yeah.
Here for us, they may not be a vocal political advocate, but they will be a silent contributor to fundraising. So, they may not be pounding the Capitol doors with us, but they will support our fundraising efforts that help us push those efforts further. So more of a silent partner. And, here locally, we appreciate that they get involved however they see fit. They toe a fine line between, they need to sell their bikes and sales are down. I get that. And sometimes, picking a side or whatever may inhibit that. I get it, but they do support us how they can, and we appreciate that.
Hmm.
I'd say here in Missouri, for the most part, the Harley shops and some of the other bike shops are involved in the same aspect that Clutch was saying. I do know that they get real skittish when the Diamond Club show up. I've bared witness to that. And we're professionals and we act professionally, but you see their staff and then all of a sudden the cops show up. I do know that Harley specifically really does not care for or want to curtail a damn thing towards the MC community. They always said we've been the ones that give them a bad name, but they forgot about the AMF years. They forgot about, coming out of that, it was the clubs and the clubbers that bought all them motorcycles and kept in line with that AMC shit that it's got to be Harley Davidson, American made. The club life is started here in the United States and grown. That's the one thing we give the world. I've heard that said a dozen times, right? And it'll always be the club life that saves Harley Davidson to a point. I mean, even a lot of us clubbers are looking at each other going, man, some of these other bikes, the Indians are starting to ride a little more comfortable and they're not so, I think they're ugly shit, but people like them. The Victories were a big thing. I thought they were ugly shit, but people were buying the hell out of them and talking about the ride. Harley is getting better, but they think we lived back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and early 90s where it's not that way, and they're building better motorcycles, but they're not going to support what everybody considers the bad apples of society.
Hmm. Now, how is I know one final question. AMA, how are they contributing to the rights movement?
Yeah, here locally, they're great. We have a great relationship with them. But I know everybody has their history with them specifically, but I think there's gone a long way of healing. And here locally, we work great with them. So we have Texas Council of Clubs and Independents. We have ABATE, AMA, and we work great together. We're on calls when it comes to, we're having our legislative weekend coming up here at the end of January. So we all unite again. It goes to talking about the one voice, and we're all rowing in the same direction. And that's UC change, and I'm happy that they're involved. specifically on the independent side, because here we have 330,000 registered motorcyclists in the state of Texas, down a little bit. But, you know, with their involvement, that means we can pretty much, you know, reach out to every one of those. And can you tell me what voting block in your state legislature, or, you know, in your state politics has 330,000 people that would vote in a particular direction? And, you know, from our survey that we always bring up, 87% of our community are active voters. And so, you know, do the math, that's a big chunk of people voting in the same direction. And that's a huge voting block that Shaggy brought up. So,
Right. Are you guys finding out, finding AMA charter clubs helping with this?
not specifically, no.
Sad. What, for your final thoughts, which organization should people be joining? Should they be joining MRF, ABATE? Which one would you guys recommend?
Me personally, I say get in where you fit in. You know, if you've been on a bike and you've been to your Harley shop, or you've been to a bike night, you've probably gravitated to a group of people, you know, and you've probably done a shot and shared a beer. So again, it all goes to, we're all speaking the same language. So get in where you fit in. If there's a group, if you know, the guys that you're hanging out with are ABATE members, and you get along with them, screw it, join ABATE. You know, if you are more MC minded, maybe, you know, NCOC or INCOM. If, you know, there's always the AMA as well. And then everybody should join the MRF, because that is our only federal lobby fighting for bikers and motorcycle enthusiasts' rights. It's not just about profiling. It's also about autonomous vehicles and fuel quality and roads. And so they are lobbying for our rights in DC. So, you know, if you have to, I hope that clarifies it, but it really is get in where you fit in, but MRF is a must. Because again, only lobbyists in DC. In your state, you may have 3 or 4, but in DC, you have 1. And it's important that they are supported.
Well, and I'll caveat off of that, and what I'll caveat from what he's saying is, one, if you can't get in somewhere where you fit in, you know, it's $30 or $35. It's $35 to join the MRF. I had to do that to become that liaison deal there. But there's more that goes with it when you join ABATE and 4 and the AMA, I'm sure. If you're an avid rider and you really don't want to kind of go and do all the capital days and do the legislative stuff, but you want to help out where you can, you pay $30, $35 a year. Okay. It gives you a bunch of benefits. Say they got the death and dismemberment pay that's automatic in that year. You know, if you get hurt, that's $3,000. Some of them, I think they're up to $5,000. That's free money. That's going to help with if something happens to you, right? You know, get in and at least donate to that. That way these people can still be fighting for the rights. And if you want to get involved with it, I would say, if you're, like he said, MC minded, join an MC. There's plenty of them out there, right? Quit starting them. Join one. Quit starting them. Say it again. Quit starting MCs. We've got enough. But you're not going to do anything new. So get in where you fit in, but you know, do it slowly. Understand what you're getting yourself into. 1, 2. Without the money, and this is the crappy part about business, man, without the money, you can't get nothing done. And those guys in the MRF, those guys in the ABATEs and the 4s and the AMAs and all these other rights organizations that are out there, they need that money. And it helps they're not wasting it, because they're 501c3 and 501c19. They have to open their books, right? Especially to the government, because they have to show no profit. But they use that money to fight for your rights, to pay a lobbyist, you know, because some of those people ain't free. 4 has their own lobbyist. The MRF has their own lobbyist that they pay and deal with, right? So some of these they're capable of funding themselves, but they still have to have the money to fund that stuff, right? When you join the motorcycle clubs, get involved with the COCs in your local area. I mean, you've got to get together and do this. Also, communicate with the other clubs, man, because the COC's got to talk to their right arm, which is the civilian side that goes up there in lobbies, because us clubbers don't have time to sit up there at the Capitol all day. I mean, we got jobs on top of, we've got club life, and if we're officers, we got officer duties to do. We're pretty busy. So you need to have that open lines of communication. So maybe something you thought of that nobody else has thought of, they know how to put it in the proper language. That's the other thing too. When they're doing these bills, you have to have the proper language. You can't just go up there and say, hey, get off your damn phone, quit texting. If not, that's like a DUI. If you kill somebody, you're going to jail forever. They're throwing you under the damn thing. That's not the right language. You got to have big words and lawyers involved, all shit like that. But it takes money to do that. Don't be afraid to take some criticism for it. Oh, you're just up there starting shit. No, I'm up there fighting for my rights. My right to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, my inalienable rights that I shouldn't have to fight for because they should already be there. Don't be afraid. Mm-hmm. Take a stand. Back the people who are doing this, whether it be by money or you standing there being as loud of a voice as they are. And it takes the village. If you're a motorcycle enthusiast, help any way you can, because you know what? By the MPP survey, guys that are just motorcycle enthusiasts or bikers or whatever you want to call them that aren't clubbers, don't wear a club patch, they're profiled more than I am. They're profiled more than Clutch is. They're profiled more than any clubber is. That's fact.
Rock on, man. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on the show, and hopefully you guys keep us all updated on the news happening, especially when it comes to new bills and stuff. And
there's one more thing, Hollywood.
Yeah.
The new survey it's out, right, Clutch?
Yeah. Yes, it's out.
We had 11,000 people take that survey. We'd like to triple that this year. Get out there and take that new survey, motorcycleprofilingproject.com. It's
right.
6 questions, 5 questions.
Yeah, something like that.
Answer them. It takes 30 seconds, if that. Go in there and fill that out. That is information is collected by bikers for bikers. This is what helps us pass this profiling legislation. Go in there and fill that out. Have everybody in your family fill it out.
NCOC have a website?
The NCOC, yes. Go ahead.
Yep.
That's your.
No, it's councilofclubs.com. Yeah.
Councilofclubs.com. Well, there you guys have it, man. I really appreciate having you guys on, and we look forward to hearing more news about the American Legion problem.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Talk to you guys later.
All right,
take care,
thanks.
man. Bye.
And welcome back, man. What did you guys think of that interview? I think they hit it point on. It was an enjoyment to hear what they had to say. They got really in depth, even beyond the article that Clutch wrote over on MPP. That's the Motorcycle Profiling Project. And I really like some of the stuff he had to say about the different organizations finally pulling together and going one straight way, whether it be ABATE, AMA, MRF. As you heard, what they had to say is the most important organization you're going to want to support is MRF. That is at a federal level. They are a great organization. I'm a part of one. They keep me informed all the time. You'll hear me writing or actually covering some of their writings and stuff. So MRF, I think it's like $30 a year. Not that much, man. A couple coffees each month, and you can be a part of something that's really helping biker rights especially in these time periods, man. As everybody know, there was a purge all over the internet, and a lot of sites got caught up in that one. I know we've been having problems forever. So has other biker-related sites, and God knows it's just going to keep on continuing. Don't forget, if you can, go join us over on BitChute, Parler, Rumble. We got all the information in the description box. That way you guys can really be kept informed. Now, Rumble, I'm not going to do that one show because I'm just done with politics, man. I'm tired of it. This country's screwed as it is. Everybody's going to their corner. And you know what? I want to keep it fun. You know what I mean? I don't want to keep beating a dead horse and all that stuff. You'll see a lot of the uncensored stuff that I do is going to be on BitChute and Rumble. And I'll let you guys know in the community tab over on the YouTube channel or on Facebook. That's going to be a general thoughts type of deal. It's not going to be hardcore or anything as far as bike stuff is concerned. But going forward, I'm hoping being able to interview a lot more ABATE individuals, MRF, on Bring It to the Table. I'd love to get it to where I can interview ABATE people from the state level, on each state level, let us know what's going on in that state. Because God knows, I know I got friggin' people in every frickin' state in the union right here that follows us. So information would really get out to you that way. So with that, hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Don't forget to subscribe to all our damn platforms. Don't forget to become a member. You can be on the weekly Zoom calls that we have with the membership. You can also join over on HarleyLiberty.com. In order to join, all you have to do is hit that join button. Boom, it's done. So with that, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.
Hi, I'm James Hollywood Machikari. Join me Monday through Friday for Motorcycle Mayhem Morning Show on YouTube Live, Facebook, and all major podcasting platforms where we talk about all the major biker news going on in the scene. Rock on! Get your most unbiased and trusted biker news now at HarleyLiberty.com. Founded in 2012, Insane Throttle Biker News has been the place that all bikers come for what's happening in the scene. Go over now and bookmark HarleyLiberty.com. Rock on! Hi, I'm Hollywood.
And I'm China Doll. Listen to the Hollywood and China Doll Evening Show, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all major podcasting platforms. And don't forget to subscribe to our brand new YouTube channel.
Rock on!